So I'll begin with introductions. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Denise Charon. I'm the Manager of Member Services at CVMA, and I'm happy to introduce today's speakers. We have Dr. Kathy Keil. She's a regional veterinarian, Western Canada for Merck Animal Health. She is also an advocate for mental health in the veterinary profession and is a certified mental health first aider and suicide awareness educator. She is chair of the Canadian Veterinary Wellness Advisory Group and a member of the Alberta Veterinary Medical Association Wellness Committee. Kathy is the leading force behind the Merck Canadian Veterinary Medical Association. It's time to talk about mental health in Vet Med Awareness Campaign. Also with us today, Mr. Lee Swain is the head of account management North America for Togetherall. He worked for 15 years at colleges and universities providing direct support services to students. He then transitioned to the JED Foundation. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Lee. A nonprofit focused on the mental health of young and emerging adults, where he led their college consulting services for 5 years. In his role at Togetherall, he helps drive awareness and utilization of the digital peer support platform. Welcome to you both. You can begin.
Thank you, Denise. Welcome all. And a reminder that this is being recorded and will be posted on the CVMA website and some social afterwards. As Denise mentioned, I am Kathy Keil. I'm your Wellness Advisory Group Chair for the CVMA. And as such, I wanted first to acknowledge that talking about mental health is so important. And in doing so, there may be times where our emotions and feelings get the better of us. So Lee, if you can advance to the next slide, please. I'll just remind people that we do have safety supports in place for you today. I will be, if needed, your live peer supporter. You can reach me on chat privately. You can look for my name, Kathy Keil, K-E-I-L. And as Denise mentioned, I'm trained in mental health first aid, suicide awareness and prevention, and I am a trained veterinary peer supporter, and I volunteer as a peer supporter with the Edmonton Association of Small Animal Veterinarians. And then also consider others who you can speak with in your trusted social network. That also may be your healthcare provider. And do consider utilizing the employee assistance plans, which many of the provincial VMAs offer, to access a counselor or a psychologist. And then as Canadians, we have access to a number of resources. Wellnesstogether.ca does offer free counseling to all Canadians. The Canadian Distress and Suicide Support Line information is available on the slide, and the phone number is there too. And you can find local distress lines for your own community from their website. Do consider utilizing 211 to find provincial social supports, and an awesome social support, which CVMA is proud to have launched, is Togetherall, and Lee will provide more information on the value of that soon. I would just like to say two more things before transitioning to Lee, and the first would be how proud I am, and I very much applaud the CVMA for having the forward thinking to recognize the value of offering peer-to-peer programs for CVMA members. And they came to this conclusion in chatting with CVMA members, also reviewing the empirical evidence for the value of peer support programs in other industries and associations, such as the Canadian Medical Association, seeing how those physician peer-to-peer programs are operating very effectively in Canada. Also recognizing that providing a peer support program is a great adjunct to the employee assistance plans, which many of the provincial VMAs offer. And then again, applauding their forward thinking and going to Western Financial and talking this over with them so that we, and grateful for that sponsorship from Western Financial, so that we do have, as CVMA members and student veterinarians, free access to Togetherall. I have been a participant on Togetherall since it was launched. And there's many things I like about Togetherall, but I'll just go through two important ones first off. And the first would be that it's a closed community for us as Canadian veterinarians and student veterinarians. And in being on the Togetherall closed platform and posting and reading posts, I get this strong sense of normalization, validation, recognition that others have walked in our shoes. And they're still walking in our shoes. And in those exchanges, sharing what's working for them. And that provides such a sense of self-esteem and hope and recovery. And in doing so, invigorates the value of being a veterinarian. And the second thing that really stands out to me for Togetherall is the safety. And Lee will speak more about this, that there's 24/7 clinical oversight by a trained mental health professional. So if we are feeling in distress or we're reading a post that indicates that someone may be in distress or speaking about self-harm or harm to others, that licensed mental health professional will reach out to that person, do a risk assessment, and connect them to safety. So those are two very important reasons I'm proud that Togetherall is available to us as a CVMA member. And I think now I'll turn it over to Lee to provide more information and take us on a navigational tour of the Togetherall platform.
Great. Thanks so much, Kathy, and appreciate everybody joining today. Again, my name is Swain, and I work in account management together. Also, I'm excited to be here with you all today and talk through the platform itself, how you can use it, how you can find the veterinary specific resources that are available to you. And we're really excited about this partnership with CVMA and appreciative of the sponsorship from Western Financial. So really, as Kathy mentioned, there's a lot of value in just speaking about your mental health, right? And seeking help. And it's really important to do that. And we know with many, it's very common when we think about physical health issues for people to seek help from others or to even enter support groups. We think about people who are diagnosed with cancer, for instance, are often encouraged to join cancer support groups, or those who have recovered from cancer as part of their journey. And the same is true of mental health. There is a lot of value in connecting with people. We know that there's value in sort of sharing and seeking help. And as Kathy said, that really normalizes the things that everybody is sort of dealing with, and giving people an opportunity to share their lived experience. And it really creates this sense of community, that you're not alone, and really encourages this sense of belonging, which is really important. We know that belonging, a sense of belonging, is one of the most supportive feelings when it comes to mental health. So the ability to create a community within the Togetherall platform to connect with, but also then within that community to also create this community for other veterinarians to connect with is really important. There are lots of reasons people don't seek mental health support in person, like physical support, live support for their mental health. It could be isolation or withdrawal. That could be like related to the pandemic. We're coming out of the pandemic, but some people are readjusting to being back in normal, quote unquote, social life. It could literally be physical isolation, though. There are plenty of people that are in more remote areas, and that can be challenging. They might have stigma associated with seeking mental health. And I'll talk a little bit about how the platform makes it easier for people to seek help or not worry about that stigma as much, specifically because the platform is anonymous. And there could be access issues. It might be about either insurance coverage, or it could be that like literally finding a therapist that's close to you might be a challenge. So there are lots of reasons why people might not seek it in person. And that's really why we wanted to, why we offer an online support that really benefits people that are experiencing what I would consider mental health distress, but also really just normal life issues. You'll see on the platform, people talk about all sorts of things. It doesn't mean you need to have a diagnosed mental health condition. This is really about overall wellness and just a place to connect with others, to feel better about what you're struggling with. And we know this is happening online. We know there is super high demand in digital support communities. Lots of people talking on Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok about their mental health journeys, tons of hashtags. But what those communities don't have, and that Kathy mentioned, is that clinical support that is so important in case someone is triggered or needs additional support beyond what the peer support community can offer. So a little bit about Togetherall. So we are what we think, we are that accessible, safe, vibrant community. So you can access it online at any time. It is a web-based platform, but it's built mobile first. So it works really well on tablets and phones and things like that. There's no cost because this is being funded by Western Financial and the CVMA. So you can get immediate access, and it is available 24/7 since it's online. To give you a sense of that safety piece, Kathy mentioned we are monitored 24/7 by mental health clinicians. So this isn't a telehealth service. It's not telecounseling. You're not necessarily logging on to chat with a counselor. It really is about leveraging that power of peer support. But if at any time somebody is at risk or in distress, they can reach out to a clinician who, as Kathy said, will do a risk assessment and connect to care that is appropriate for them based on their situation. And if needed, we can escalate to telephonic counseling as well. It's pretty rare because most people are coming onto the platform for mild to moderate issues and sort of ongoing sustainability of mental wellness, but we want to be prepared for all potential things that might happen. And so there are actual teams of clinicians on at any time who are there monitoring the platform and responding to concerns that they have about members and participants. As I mentioned, it's anonymous, so that also makes it safe. People have more freedom and less stigma associated with help seeking, so it gives them more latitude to just sort of seek help from others, share how they're feeling without concerns about judgment. And that's really critical. So another thing that the clinicians will do, they are there to also ensure that anonymity. So they feel like people are breaching that anonymity, sharing personal information, trying to connect offline, et cetera. They are there to make sure that that anonymity is upheld. They're also there just to make sure that the community is welcoming and inclusive. So if there's any sort of trolling or bullying behavior, which again is really rare, they will step in and mitigate that and stop that from happening as well. To give you a sense of the size of the community, so like CVMA has sponsored for their members, an individual can't join Togetherall. They have to be sponsored by what we call a commissioning body or a commissioning organization. So we have more than 300 organizations that commission people to have access within the platform. And so more than 20 million people have access. We have more than 300,000 people who have been supported on the platform. And we are not just in Canada. So we are in Canada, the US, the UK, and New Zealand. So we're kind of global. And what that means is that pretty much anytime you log into the platform, you're likely going to find somebody else that is active, right? People are on 24/7. So if you're up at 3 in the morning thinking about something, you can't sleep, for instance, you just want to talk to somebody, you can put your post up and share with someone else. A little bit about just sort of the impact that we have. This is, we do ask our members how they're finding Togetherall, if they're finding it to be helpful. This is member survey data from last year, all of last year, for our North American members. And you can see 44% respondents joined because of that anonymity. Again, makes it a really safe place for people to sort of access care, and that moderation by professionals is also key. Depression and anxiety are often two of the highest things that people come to the platform for. But again, it's really helpful for any type of issue. And you'll see people talking about all sorts of stuff. And you can see 87% experience at least one improvement in their well-being. And this is self-reported well-being gains based on their experience in the platform. Many people feel less isolated. They feel more connected to others. They feel supported and more resilient as a result of participating in the platform. And we see about a third of people who don't seek support for mental health outside of the platform. We see a third that do regularly seek support. And then we see a third that kind of probably access some other online resources in addition to Togetherall. So just to give you an idea of who's there. When you want to join, so you can join from the CVMA website. If you go to the CVMA website and you're logged in, you can go to veterinary resources, and under veterinary resources, there is the Togetherall resource. You'll be prompted to log into your CVMA account, and then you will be able to access the Togetherall website. It will take you to this registration page. which is already pre-populated with CVMA. It'll ask you for your email. There is some information that we gather from you in case we have to escalate, right? If we have to connect somebody to emergency services, we want some level of sort of personal information. We do not share that with CVMA. It's very important that you know we don't ever provide any of that information to CVMA. And actually, our clinicians can only access it. It's kind of in a walled off database in the event of a crisis, somebody that really needs to be connected to emergency care. But we will ask for an email, we will ask for a phone number, we will ask for a postal code so we know sort of the area you're from, and a date of birth just to ensure that you're over the age of 16, which I imagine if you're a veterinarian or a veterinary student, that's probably the case. And then you create an anonymous username, create your password. You are able to choose a preferred language. So it's important for you to know that the platform is available in both English and French. They are separate platforms, so you can't toggle between the two. You do select your preferred language at registration and you can join the French community or you can join the English community. You are welcome to join both, but you would need to register with 2 different email addresses. So that really is what ties you to your account. But if you have 2 personal email addresses you'd like to use, you are certainly welcome to join both the French and English community. There's also, I know we're delivering this demo in English. Towards the end of the demo, I will put a link to a quick French demo, recorded French demo, in case you want to view that yourself or share that with others who might find that to be helpful. And this is just an example. Again, I'm not going to demo the French platform, but I just wanted to show you an example of a French post within the platform before I jump to the English platform itself. So I am going to switch over to the platform itself. I have already logged in. You can see my anonymous username is Novice Chef. I like to think I'm a chef, but I'm really only so good. But you can see I've logged in here under this name, and this is the home page, which is like many other social media platforms. It features an infinite scroll of the latest and greatest activity within the platform. So these are the most recent posts or the most recent posts that people have commented on. So the platform is set up as an asynchronous message board in the way that Facebook is and the way that Reddit is. It's not a live chat. You kind of post, other people come along over time and respond, and you can go back into your post and respond. And so anytime something is posted or commented on, it pops up to the top of the feed. There are 3 main parts of the platform: the peer support community. There are also courses and resources. I'm going to go through each of these and then come back to this homepage because the homepage kind of pulls them together. So the peer support community is really core to the platform itself. And there are basically, again, it's a place for you to post and or read other people's posts and comment and support. So it's a place you can seek support or offer support. We also know there's lots of mental health benefits to offering supports to other people through this type of platform. And if I'm a member here in the platform, again, this is an infinite scroll of the latest posts, just like on the homepage. But if I wanted to create a post, I would come over here, create a post. And there are a couple different types of posts I can make. I can create what we call a talk about, which is a text-based post. If I wanted to create a talk about, I would put my post title, whatever it is. I'm able to select categories and tag certain categories that my post is about. So maybe I'm having trouble sleeping and I feel anxious, right? I could post those 2 things. I can then type how I'm feeling. I could post more than that. Obviously, I would put a title here, and then I would post the talk about, and that would send it to. I'm not going to do it since it's the live message board, but that would send it to the message board, and then other people would respond over time in a supportive way. Similarly, there's what we call a brick, which is a visual post. In the same way, I can do a title, I can select those categories, but there are some simplified drawing tools that I can use to creatively and artistically express how I'm feeling. So I can paint something or draw something. I am able to add some type. I can upload images as well. Obviously, we don't want any personally identifiable images, but people upload images that kind of are reflective of how they're feeling. And then I can still type a little caption that kind of shares how I'm feeling if I want to, and post that. And we call that a brick. So talk about and a brick. The third type of post you can do is what's called a group talk about. And this is a private conversation with other members. So this usually happens, you might post something and get into a back and forth with another member where you really resonate with them, you really click, you want to stay connected to them. You are able to add them as a friend within the platform, like other social media platforms. You can add them as a friend, still an anonymous friend. You don't know anything about them, you don't know their details, but you can stay in touch with them this way. You can also direct message people here as well if you choose to. And then if you have a group of friends that you want to start a private conversation with, you can do that. And basically you would create a group talk about in the same way, but then you're able to add members. You're able to add the usernames of the friends that you've connected with. And that would create a private conversation that would function in the same way as the standard message board, but it wouldn't appear on the message board to other members. It would only be something that you would be connected to your friends around. And so over time, people that use the platform over time and sort of connect with people use that functionality. Back in the community, if I wanted to comment on somebody's post, so here's somebody that's talking about communication issues. So they have posted, they're having trouble communicating with their boyfriend. They've been reading some articles and they've been together for 2 years. So again, this is not about anxiety, not about depression necessarily. This is just a situation that is stressing this member out, right? So the platform is really good for all sorts of things. You can see a wall guide has commented here. Sometimes the wall guides will do that. They will always comment anytime somebody posts for the first time because we want to encourage the help-seeking behavior. I'm sorry, a wall guide is our clinicians. So the wall guide is our term for the clinicians. So they will always post the first time anybody's posted because they want to encourage that help-seeking behavior. They will also comment if there's concern for risk, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. They also might do it as they did here. If something kind of gets buried in the message board and they want to pop it back up to the top, they'll comment and that will pop it back up to the top of that scroll, and then other people will weigh in. So you can see some other pain is real, but so is hope has commented, Shy 28 has returned, and then they're getting into a back and forth conversation, right? So as a member, I would just come down here to the bottom. If I wanted to add my comment, I could type my comment and post, and and then Shy 28 would get my comment as well, and we could engage in a conversation. I'm also able to star this post. Maybe I'm not comfortable commenting, but I want to hear what other people have to say. Maybe I relate to this situation. It's something similar to what I'm experiencing. I don't want to post, but I want to get some advice from other people. I can star it, internal notifications for posts, so I would be notified as more content comes in. I can also report the post. So if I'm concerned for the member or I'm concerned for something that's shared here, maybe I feel like it's not helpful, I can report a post, which would then let the wall guide know to review the post. At any time, I can also reach out to a wall guide down here in the bottom right. So if I, again, am concerned for myself, maybe I'm triggered by something I've read in the platform, maybe I'm concerned for another member, I can report that to a wall guide here. And within the community, I can revisit my own posts here. I can revisit any starred posts. I can also filter all of the posts within the platform by any of those categories. So I mentioned you could tag your posts different categories. So you can see there are a number of categories here that people can post. So again, maybe if I only want to read posts that are about anxiety or loneliness, I can do that. I hit OK, and it'll just filter out those posts. I can also filter in the same way by the type of post. So if I only want to see the bricks, the visual posts, if I only want to see the talkabouts, I can do that as well. So you can see here's the anxiety tag, so the loneliness tag. So it's just pulling up those posts that are of interest to me. The one thing I wanted to share was just an example of how a wall guide interacts in a risk situation, just so you know. Oh, actually, my starred post, I signed in a different, under a different account than I normally do. So I don't actually have a starred post. But to give you an idea, what a wall guide would do is if there was some indication of risk, the wall guide would actually post. We don't hide it, right? So if somebody's really struggling and sharing that, we don't hide it. That further stigmatizes the mental health. We want people to be encouraged to seek help. So what they would do, though, is they would post within the platform and say, we see that you're struggling, just to let you know we're reaching out in a direct message. And that then indicates to the other members of the platform that this person is getting the care they need. We certainly don't want other members to be anxious for this person. So it indicates to them that that person is getting help. The wall guide will reach out in a direct message and do that risk assessment that I mentioned. And if it's a CVMA member, for instance, CVMA has given us a lot of different resources that are available to CVMA members. They would be able to see a tag indicating that this person's a CVMA member, and they would be referring them to those resources and saying, hey, did you know you have this EAP available to you? Or this other resource can be found on the website, and really encouraging that help seeking on their own. And ideally, most of the time, people get connected to care that way. But if they're really struggling and they're sort of in imminent risk, we would connect them to telephonic counseling for support. So the one, I want to go back into these other sections of the platform. So within the courses, these are mostly modular self-paced courses on different mental health topics that may be of interest to you. So there's like one on drinking, sleeping, managing anger, for instance. All of them are modular and self-paced. So you kind of just do them when you feel fit. There are homework associated with them in many cases, like lots of courses. So you may have something to do like a self-assessment. You may be encouraged to journal about your behavior, or there's sometimes downloadable worksheets and images and things like that within the courses that may be helpful for you. And you can see the modules over here, and you work your way through. For each course, if I were to begin this course, for instance, I would need to take the self-assessment. And then for each course, there is what we call a course talk about, where you have a group conversation with other people who are taking the course. So we're kind of leveraging the power of that peer community in the same way here. People are able to talk and connect with others who want to talk about the course and what they're learning and how they're trying to change their behavior. There is a specific group for veterinarians within the platform. It's a little not intuitive, and we're going to work on that. I'm going to tell you how we're going to work on that. But right now, the group for veterinarians can be found here in the courses. So you see this cute little pup. If you click into the group for veterinarians, it is currently set up like a course. But basically just has some ideas for things you can do. And then the group itself is via this course talk about. So if you go to the course talk about, you will see here is a place where there's currently 47 members within the group. So there are 47 vets that are active. You can see a wall guide is still monitoring this as well. But people are able to share what they're experiencing with each other. And connect and support each other. So this is basically like a subset of the larger, broader community, right? That is just for veterinarians and a place you can share here with each other. But otherwise it works the same. So if I wanted to add more thoughts, add a new comment to the thread or add a new post, I would be able to do that and get support from other people specifically for veterinarians. The other section I want to show you is the resources here. There's a journaling tool. Maybe you're not ready to post to the broader community, but you want to just get your thoughts down in private. You can use this journaling tool. There's also a goal setting tool. Many of the courses will encourage you to use these two tools as part of your behavior change efforts. There are also a number of clinically validated self-assessments you can take. You can take them over time to see, are you improving or not? If you take some of these self-assessments and you assess as severe or moderately severe, a wall guide, a clinician will actually also reach out and try to offer some suggestions for resources and support that may be helpful for you. And then there are also what we call articles or resources. So I do not have a CVMA account because I'm not a veterinarian. So you see here with my account, my test account, I have some resources here for UNC Greensboro. But when you log in as a CVMA member, you will see 3 specific resources that are here within the resources section for CVMA members. And then if I click view all, in addition to those 3 resources, you will also see a number of self-help articles that are available within the platform. And you can sort those self-help articles by those same categories. So again, if I only wanted to read self-help articles about anxiety, I could do that, and it would just pull up any resources that are relevant to anxiety. I want to quickly show you, very soon, we are hopeful, we just launched a beta version of the groups that we're testing. And this is where your group will ultimately live. And within this group, there are a couple of tested ones that we have active. You can see there is a student life group. There's a work-life balance group. If I click here and see all groups, there are some wellness-based groups. So maybe I just want to share something humorous. There's a space to share gratitude. You can do that as well, which we know is also helpful for mental health. You can share health and lifestyle tips. And then there are some of these role-based groups. And this role-based group is where the veterinary group will ultimately live. We are in the process of transitioning things over. But you can see there's a group for students, which will be helpful for any student veterinarians that might be on the call. You can share with other people about academic concerns specifically. There's a group for healthcare workers, a group for folks that are affiliated with the military, and a group for parents and caregivers. So again, the platform is global, but then you have the space within the platform for the veterinary specific closed group that you would be able to join. And we hope that this will transition over as we're doing our testing. Things seem to be good. So we hope this will transition over soon, and you would actually find that veterinary group within the community as opposed to within the courses. So the last thing I want to just show you quickly is the homepage itself. So again, the homepage just kind of pulls together all of 3 of those sections: the peer community, the courses, and resources. So it's the same content within the peer community, but as I scroll down, you will occasionally see an article interspersed. So a self-help article that might be of interest to you. If I keep scrolling, here's a course that might be of interest. And it continues to populate throughout the content itself. On the news feed, this news feed, I'm also able to apply some filters. So maybe there are certain issues that you do not want to read about. Maybe they're triggering for you, or you don't find them to be of value, right? So maybe you don't, if I go to these community posts, for instance, and I say show more, you can see all the different category tags. So maybe I don't want to read anything about abuse. That's like triggering for me. Or maybe addiction doesn't interest me. I can choose to avoid those, and then they won't show up on your newsfeed. So, and you can alter this at any time. It's just a way for you to customize the content you're seeing so that it's most relevant to you. And the last thing I will show you is really just another way to interact with the community, which is what we call here, which is exploring the wall. So one of the reasons we call the visual posts bricks is because of this function. This function is just another way to engage with the visual posts. It pulls together all the recent bricks that people have posted into this wall function. And you can see many people are much more artistically talented than I am. But it's all of the different posts that people have created. And you can click into a post just like you would within the community, and it pops up, and you can do all of the same things. Here you can, you're able to star the post, you can turn on notifications, you can report it, you can comment on it. Sometimes the wall, because I'm streaming the video and streaming this, takes a little bit longer. But you can see people have commented. I could add a post here as well. This particular member, ESTT, I'm on the platform enough to know, they post a visual image every day. It's part of their recovery and self-care practice. And I think that's really interesting, right? It's just a place for them to share how they're feeling, what they're thinking about during the day. And so I often run into their, for whatever reason, I'm kind of drawn to their images when I'm doing these demos. But yeah, it's just, again, same content you would find in the platform, but some people prefer to just kind of basically drag and drop around and pop into things that really catch their eye as a way of reviewing whatever other content is here. So I will pause there, and then we will open it up to questions for either Kathy or myself. I see there might be some in the chat.
So Kathy here, Lee, that was fantastic. You were such a great teacher. You're calm and well-paced and provide such a sense of comfort and competency. I learned a lot about the Togetherall platform. So kudos, thank you so much.
No problem. No problem.
Yes, we'll open it up to questions. If you do have questions, please place them in the chat. And then as we're just waiting for questions to come in, I guess I just want to extend some appreciation to Togetherall and the progressiveness, as you mentioned, the beta and how that is changing. I love that forward thinking and how Togetherall is reflecting on the platform and making changes. That's fantastic. And then something else I had written down too is the self-assessments, and that they're all clinically validated.
Mm-hmm.
So that level of, you know, stringency, and they're well chosen. And then I had a question again, as we wait for questions to come in. We do have this closed group for veterinarians who are CVMA members and student veterinarians too. So student veterinarians in Canada could choose to go to the student group or come to the closed group for veterinarians. What if someone from the UK or Australia or the United States who is a veterinarian comes on the platform and sees that we have a closed group? What would happen if they posted or wondered if they had access to it?
It is possible. And, you know, one of the limitations, there's a lot of benefits to having an anonymous platform. But we also can't necessarily validate who everyone is. The veterinary group isn't necessarily turned on for all of our clients though. So, but it is turned on for Canadian clients, but not necessarily the UK and the US clients. So there are some other Canadian clients. For instance, we have a contract with Alberta and Nova Scotia. And so there could be somebody that comes in via that route and is able to access that group or sees that group, and they might be a veterinarian and might join. And we wouldn't necessarily know if they were through, you know, we wouldn't necessarily keep them out because they didn't come in from the CVMA route. We're going to assume that people are being honest about what they are. If you ever feel like somebody is posting in the group, but off topic, that would be another reason you could reach out to a wall guide and say, hey, I don't think this person is in the right place. And that would be something that they could investigate and kind of follow up with a member and see. And I actually think that happened in the vet group. Somebody was posting about military vets,
yes.
And was redirected out of the group. So,
right.
So yeah, that can happen occasionally if people aren't reading fully what is there. I had a question about directed to me about if information is shared with CVMA, and the answer is no personally identifiable information is shared with CVMA. Even if we escalate to like emergency services or escalate somebody to telephonic counseling, we would never share that with CVMA. That's completely, you know, CVMA is providing this service, but we would not report back to them. What we do report back to CVMA is overall usage in aggregate. So we would provide some aggregate data. How many people have registered? What are the demographics of that group of people? What does their activity look like within the platform? How many posts have been made? What's the progression of the group? Is the group active or not? Things like that. But we would never share any personally identifiable information.
Super, thanks for the thorough answer. And in the meantime, another question has come forward. Many non-veterinary members of the veterinary team could benefit from this resource. I fully agree with that statement. Any plans to include registered veterinary technologists, CSR, which would be client, I think, service representatives or veterinary assistants. So I guess, Lee, first I'll ask you, is when it comes to a supporting or sponsoring organization, so you had mentioned that Alberta Health Services had sponsored for all Albertans to join together, and I actually joined Togetherall years ago when Alberta Health Services did provide that free access. Could a veterinary clinic, as a supporting organization, join Togetherall, or is there a minimum number of employees or members in order to join the Togetherall platform?
There isn't a minimum number to join. So we do have smaller employers that also do contract with us. We don't have all huge contracts. Yeah, so we definitely have individual employers. We have, in some cases, colleges and universities. We have associations like CVMA that join. We have some government contracts. So we have a variety of contracts. Certainly folks that and the difference, you might ask yourself, well, why would I join under CVMA and not under Alberta? Well, the difference is those tailored resources. So in the resources section, if you join through CVMA, you're going to get the CVMA specific resources within that platform. If you join under Alberta, it's going to be like Alberta 211, kind of like some general provincial wide resources. But certainly if you have I might get these acronyms wrong, registered vet techs or other folks in your office, and you are in Alberta or you are in Nova Scotia, they can access Togetherall through those platforms as well. They would just see those provincial level resources and they wouldn't see the veterinary specific resources. They would see the group for veterinarians because it's a Canadian client. So they would be able to join that way. We would not be able to report back to CVMA on that membership, though, to really understand who those folks are, right? We wouldn't necessarily know that they were part of the veterinary community.
Okay, thank you for that. And I can provide just a thought too to the RVTTC as an organization. So the Registered Veterinary Technologists of Canada have an association like the CVMA. So CVMA is for Canadian veterinarians, and student veterinarians. RVTTC exists to support RVTs. Maybe this is an opportunity for someone on RVTTC from being on the board to take this forward and, you know, to follow in a way, and we could work collaboratively from a CVMA perspective on this, but to secure sponsorship so that all members of the RVTTC could also have access to Togetherall and the closed veterinary community as an option. So there are ways to sort of instigate this change within larger organizations to be able to secure funding, to have association members have access to the Togetherall platform.
It's a great point, Kathy. Yep, for sure. I did also, I'm going to stop. Well, actually, I'm just going to share too. I had mentioned that I would share the link to the French demo in the chat. So if any of you speak French or you have colleagues who you think would benefit from viewing the French demo, I just pasted that into the chat and you're welcome to access that. It's a slightly shorter demo than what I did since it's recorded. It's about 8 minutes long, but hopefully we'll give folks a general overview. It's not CVMA specific, but it gives some idea of how to utilize the platform.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Lee. And I did notice that CVMA had posted the URL in the chat on how to sign on to Togetherall. And I gave myself about 10 minutes when I first signed on to Togetherall through the CVMA portal. Like Lee, you had mentioned, it's fairly straightforward. You do need to log in as a CVMA member first, and then click to the mental health resources on the website. When you get to the Togetherall link, then clicking on there and creating that user information the very first time takes a little bit of time, just a few minutes, and then it's easy because to log in future sessions, you just click login because you're already registered as a member. So I know when we went through the navigation, Lee, I think I wrote down that we've got 47 members on our closed community would love to see more.
Yep.
So I guess that's a challenge to those of you who are on the call today, listening to the webinar afterwards, and or you know someone who could really benefit from the Togetherall platform. Place a challenge out there, do your 10 minutes of homework, log in, and then start exploring the platform.
And Margie just mentioned that she registered. It was super simple. Yeah, there are some activation questions.
Mm-hmm.
So again, yeah, we appreciate you joining. That's great. Yeah, there are some activation questions around, again, some of that demographic information. We do like to know why people are coming. Like, are there certain things that are stressing you out right now, or certain conditions that you have that bring you to the platform, or things you've experienced in the last 6 months. So it's just helpful, again, for us to collect that. That sort of aggregate data is also shared with CVMA, which then can, inform some of their other efforts. So they're, CVMA is great advocates around mental health. So if we see trends in what people are reporting, we can share that with CVMA as well.
Thank you. And wow, we're getting like actionable people on the webinar today, which is wonderful and fantastic. I'm seeing that someone just joined Togetherall now and mentioning, not sure if Lee mentioned this, but you want to select, I'd like to search for my organization and type CVMA. This took me a bit to figure out. So good job figuring it out in the moment. And thanks for reporting back.
I believe that if you link directly from the CVMA website, it should pre-populate CVMA, but if it doesn't, that is correct. Or if you go to togetherall.com directly and search for CVMA, it'll pop up and you can register that way. But it's certainly best to register through the CVMA login if possible. But thanks for pointing that out, Hans. Appreciate it.
Right. So yeah, Margie reassures us that it automatically does pre-populate going through the CVMA login. And who doesn't want to go to the updated CVMA website? CVMA staff they've done a fantastic job in creating a really awesome look and feel to the website and making it more user-friendly for us as CVMA members. And just seeing as well some appreciations and thankfulness for the webinar today. And a reminder that this is recorded and it will be posted on the CVMA website and CVMA social afterwards. So if you are on the call and you know people who weren't able to, however, would benefit from the webinar, please share the webinar recording with them.
That's great.
And we'll keep the space open. You will hold the space open for further questions. And if there are further questions coming in, I'll just mention going back to being the Wellness Advisory Group chair and also just being such a strong advocate of mental health and well-being in the vet profession. Something that really stands out to me from the Togetherall platform and the forward thinking that CVMA has in having this available to members is that culture shift, that we're really part of this shift towards having a culture of more caring, where as veterinarians and student veterinarians with Togetherall, we know and we can be reassured that when we do reach out and post something, that it will be validated and acknowledged by people who have our lived shared experiences. So that real value of the peer-to-peer support. And then in doing so, that will just cultivate a population of veterinarians and our student veterinarians who are future leaders in the vet profession, who are sustainable and resilient. And you can't argue with that. That's just good for the vet profession, to have that cohort of sustainable, resilient professionals moving forward, finding satisfaction in the work that we do as veterinarians, and also finding value in the work and the lives that we lead. So I just wanted to put that call out to, or that reminder to everyone that this is an amazing culture shift, and I'm really grateful to be part of that shift. Seeing other chats too, just acknowledging how helpful it was, Lee, for you to provide an overview of the platform. And agreed. And if you do need to jump off, have a wonderful day. Please share the webinar recording widely with others.
Thank you all. And thank you, Kathy. Really appreciate all of your work with this, and Denise and Lori as well. You all are wonderful to work with. And Kathy, thanks for being such a great advocate for mental health amongst the amongst the association.